Hello, well done everyone. That was the first test. Can everyone hear me?
Hello.
Yep, cool, brilliant.
Yep.
Right, we'll just give it a couple of seconds for a few others to come on. Let me just check everyone who's actually speaking tonight is on the call already. 1, 2, 3. Still going up, so I'll leave it for a second. Hi, Simon.
Hello, you all right?
Yeah, good, thank you. How's your holiday?
It's lovely, thank you.
Good, good.
All good.
Right, I'm just going through and unmuting anybody who is speaking. Katie Stableford, did you get my message that I just sent you?
Yeah.
Brilliant, okay, thank you. Where's Maz? There you are, Maz. Let's unmute you.
Hello.
Hi, Maz, you right?
Hello.
Okay, Sophie, where are you? There you are. Right, okay, it's a couple of minutes in, so I think we should get cracking because I feel like we might go on with this one. So, welcome everybody to my favourite call because this one is all about getting people going straight away, basically, whether you're talking about customers or partners. Majority of us have busy lives. We don't really want to be going to an appointment twice, 3 times to get somebody to go ahead. Ideally, we want to make the best use of the time that we've got when we're with them. So in that first appointment, really, we want to be getting people to either sign up as a customer or a customer and a partner straight away. I think someone told me this, and I strongly believe that if you have an appointment with somebody and they don't sign up there and then, the majority of the time you lose about 10% chance of them actually becoming a customer or a partner every day that they don't actually sign up. So, you've got 100% chance really of signing them up on the first instance, and you lose 10% a day. So by the time you've gone past 10 days of not signing them up, the chances of you actually managing to get them in the future, unless they're a genuine no for now, is very, very slim. So that is definitely what we are aiming for and what we want to be getting closer to with the tips and the tricks that we're going to have on this call. Personally, I don't really like to call it the close because I don't think that we are actually selling something. We're offering people another option. But at the same time, we are building a business. We do want results. And so it's probably the best way of describing what we're actually going to be talking about in the call tonight. Now, we're really lucky this evening. We've got some super duper customer gatherers and partner gatherers on the call this evening. And essentially, we're just going to speak to each one of them and ask them what their top tips are. But firstly, I'm going to go to the lovely Katie Stableford, who wowed us all at the weekend with her amazing testimony at the Kent Accelerator. So well done you for that. And unfortunately for you now, I think you're going to be called on quite a lot to speak.
No, I may get used to it.
So what I want to know from you, Katie, is interesting because, Katie, you were probably about a month or 2 months into the business when we ran this call last time. And up until that point, you had fallen into the category of person that was having to go back 2 or 3 times and then potentially not even getting that sign up. And you did struggle for the first couple of months. But you said to me today that you felt that this call made a big difference. So do you want to just give us a bit of an insight into that?
Yeah, huge difference. I learnt a couple of tips from the lovely Vic and Simon. I believe he's going to give the same one this evening, both of which I used literally that same week. And it was just a straight away turnaround. Invaluable.
And do you find that now your time is being better spent? You're being able to fit more appointments into the diary as a result?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
And you're getting results?
Yes, Yeah. Yeah.
Brilliant. How many customers have you had in the last, what have you been doing? 5 months, 6 months?
Yeah, well, so 7 months, and I'm 31 personal.
31 personal. Okay, so guys, I think most people would quite like to have 31 customers in 7 months. So definitely write down your top tips from the call this evening and put them into practice. Okay, so first up, Danielle, are you there?
Oh, hello. Yes.
Hi. So Danielle, you're going to give us your top tip on when you're in an appointment, also a very super customer gatherer and partner gatherer. What's your top tip for getting people to go ahead there and then?
Okay, so there's certain, I think one of the most important things is positive language throughout the presentation. So when we're showing people exactly what Utility Warehouse is about, we don't want to kind of say a lot of if you join as a customer or if you take all the services with us. So just use the words when instead works really well, because, you know, if you're positive and confident, then that person is also feeling positive and confident about what you're showing them. So just that little change itself can really make a difference throughout the presentation. That's what I found anyway. For me, one thing I tend to do is once you've got through to the energy quote, what I like to do at that point is, obviously there's normally great savings on energy, and at that point just nip across and do a cashback challenge right at that point, because I feel then you're sealing those savings even more. So, you know, even on top of these bill savings, we've got this. And at that point, even if the bill savings aren't that fantastic, don't forget that the person you're with doesn't know the last person that you saw. They don't know how much you saved them. So, you know, if you're only saving them £5 a month, £10 a month, whatever it is, we make that, wow, that's amazing. It's £10 a month. That's fantastic. Great. And then let's have a look at those cashback savings as well, because that's going to be reducing that even further. Then once you've done that cashback challenge, we know everybody saves money on that cashback, on the cashback card. It's undoubtedly that they're going to save money. So then nip back over to your energy quote, and then you can go on with confidence about exactly what they're going to be saving through the benefits and the bill savings. So I find that worked really well. Also, what I think we all have experience, we get towards the end of that, end of the presentation, end of the quote, and then people say, I want to think about it. And we're like, great, okay, we want to think about it. So actually just agree with them. Okay, yeah, you want to think about it. That makes sense, actually. And what I tend to say then at that point is, Utility Warehouse expect you're going to want to think about it, actually. That's exactly what they expect. So would 2 weeks be long enough for you to think about it? Which most people will say yes, because they're thinking about 1 or 2 or 3 days that they want to think about it. So of course 2 weeks is going to be long enough. Well, that's great, because there is a 14-day cooling off period. So what we do, we run it all through now, and then over the next 14 days, if you want to make any changes whatsoever, you can. Most people at that point then are happy that they're not committing themselves to anything at that point, and they've got those 14 days to then consider it. So I find that works really well. Also point out to people, and I kind of do tend to exaggerate this a little bit if it gets to this, where I will say, you know, and everything we've gone through today, I'm not actually able to save any of that. So, you know, if I need to come back over, we need to do it all again at that point. You know, using that word all again just makes them think, oh God, I don't want to hear again doing another hour of this. You know, neither of us have got another hour to waste on this. And as long as they know, I think most people just don't want to feel like they're actually committing to something there and then. And as long as you make that clear to them and agree with them, most people are happy that they've got those 14 days to then make any changes. And I'm sure Alex will agree with me on this. Just you use that and you find it's working and more people are joining, just expect you might get more people who do cancel in the next 2 weeks as well. So, you know, just expect that too, and don't get bogged down with that. So, and I think that's probably my top tips really for this, Alex.
Brilliant. Thank you, Danielle. Really great. And I think that's a slightly new angle on the 14 days, is saying, you know, would 2 weeks be long enough? It's obviously something that you've developed, and I think that's really, really useful, and I'm definitely going to use that. I totally agree with what you're saying about the high rate of cancellations. It's definitely something that I've experienced, but I genuinely believe that using this sort of language and the tips on this call is giving me the edge. So, you know, I might get 10 customers and a couple of them cancel, But I think if I hadn't employed this language, I probably would have only got 6 in the first place. So overall, I'm definitely getting better results by using these strategies. So
Absolutely.
Katie, just coming back to you, I know you just wanted to maybe just go a little bit further on those points that Danielle's just raised.
Yeah, mine's very, very similar. So 14 days, and it's all about the language that I use. I think that is key. I never use cancel. Okay, so if we start the process this evening, then you've got 14 days to change or stop anything at all, and it just makes it a I don't know. Cancel just seems a bit. Yeah.
I think cancel is you're almost putting that option in their minds from the very word go. It's almost as if to suggest that you're expecting that they will cancel if you use that word. So I definitely wouldn't use that word. And I think exactly what you said, we can stop the process or change anything, like Danielle said, I think is much better language, because they feel like they've been given permission to change things, but it's not actually permission to cancel. So if you put that in their minds to start with, then there's a high chance that they will actually do that because they realise that's an option. So just don't put it in their heads. So yeah, I totally agree with that, Katie. I think as well, the other thing that crops up for me with that, I find sometimes, especially if the savings are quite good, which obviously they are a lot of the time, is it's actually really important that we fix your energy prices today, because obviously they fluctuate. So the prices that we've spoken about today are fixed if we at least put the application through today. Whereas obviously if we leave it for a couple of weeks or a month or whatever, I can't guarantee that those prices will still be the same and the savings will be quite as good as they are today. And I also quite like to just add on the end, and I don't want to end up costing you money, because, say for instance, they're saving, I don't know, 40, 50 pounds a month, but they leave it another month before they sign up, they've just lost 40 or 50 quid. And, and I don't want to cost them any money by delaying it any further. So, again, just a couple of things like that sometimes can just help people move forward. And I think it's interesting actually, because majority of the time it's things like exit fees that they're worried about. So, they don't know how long they've been in a contract with Sky, for example. They could be out of contract, or they could be £400 in, they could be a 400, that's quite excessive, but it could be £400 exit fee, and they've got no idea where they are on that scale. So they don't want to sign up with you for something tonight that's going to cost them money. So again, that's an important thing to say, is that actually what we will do as part of our service is we will contact Sky on their behalf. We will tell them that they're considering leaving, and we will ask them to write to them or email them or call them with their exit fee. So what they don't have to do is spend the next day on the phone to a call centre in India trying to find out what their exit fee is, at the same time as being tried to be sold to and kept. And, you just want to know what the answer to the question is. And, that can be quite a tiresome process. So by going through the system with us, we're actually doing that on their behalf. So that's just another part of our service, making the whole thing much smoother for them and a lot less hassle for them. So I really like that.
Alex, can I just say one thing? Sorry to jump back in, because I did something you've just made me think of as well that I often do. I think it's really important to break down why somebody is thinking about it. So if they say, oh, actually, okay, I just want to think about this, just really ask them, okay, so what in particular is it that you'd like to think about? And sometimes it is, exactly like Alex says, something like an early termination charge they might be worried about. Or it could be something as simple as, I don't know how good your mobile phone reception is, or something like that. It could be something so simple. I had one guy who was worried about losing his Sky email address, and thank goodness I asked him why he wanted to think about it, and break it down like that, because we know those answers to those questions. If you don't know the answers to those questions, you've got the support groups on WhatsApp to find the answer. So that can really make the difference. It could be something really small that they're worried about or considering or thinking about. So just break it down a little bit with them as well.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks ever so much, Danielle. That's a good addition there. So, Maz, you there?
Yeah.
Hi, Maz. How are you?
I'm good. You?
Okay, yep. So what's your top tip?
So again, it was some people on the WhatsApp group were saying, like, when they get to the end of the appointment, when you want to ask them, are they going to sign up or not, they get in a bit of a muddle. So my tips are, I tailor what happens at the end depending on the outcome. So I think about what they said they liked about the Joanna video. So if it's the bulbs or if it's the one bill. So I remember those key points, the things they liked, or if perhaps they're not happy with their current suppliers. So when I get to the end, for example, if it's a huge saving, like, you know, it's 700 quid or something. So I sit there and I'll say, so what are you going to spend the £750 on? And they might say a holiday, or take the kids away, or do up the house. And then I'll ask them a few more questions about it, like where would you go? And then I'll be like, right, so let's get you signed up then, you know, and that works really well. Sometimes there might not be a saving on the bills, but then there's cash back and light bulbs. So then, you know, picking up on those points. And then, so based on that, should we give it a go? So it's just tailoring the appointment depending on what they like. So you can get that sign up at the end. And of course, you know, it's not always a yes. Sometimes it's a no, and then, or I want to think about it. And then using the 14 days to think about it works really well.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. And I think you're a big fan of positive language as well, aren't you?
Yeah, definitely. So I never use the word cancel. And I use, like Danielle, through the quote, I use the word, so when you join the discount club, and then also at the end, it's adding in, you know, you've got me as a personal service. If something goes wrong, you can text or call me. You haven't got to remember a password to speak to me or go through a robot, you know. And I pick up on things like, we have no robots when you call us. You don't need to remember a password. And really going on about the personal service they get that they just would not get with anyone else. They don't really know how lucky they are to have one of us to look after them.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really agree with that. Fantastic. Thank you. Now, we've worded you to have Hans and Deb Glover on the phone with us this evening, but he's actually on a rugby tour in deepest, darkest, somewhere that doesn't have particularly good signal. And so he sent me a message to read out as to what his top tip is. And he said, my key message in terms of how I close appointments is that I calculate the annual savings of moving all the services to us. And before discussing this, I focus on the benefits of the discount club. So very similar to what Maz was saying there. So for example, this might include better broadband, free light bulbs, over £400 worth of cash back, the gourmet card, the single bill. And he usually picks 2 or 3 of these benefits and say, do you realise that? So, you know, you do realise that you're going to be getting free light bulbs, don't you? You do realise that you're going to be saving over £400 a year on your cashback card. And I make sure that I've said this 2 or 3 times before looking at the direct savings. So in their heads, they're already thinking about those benefits before you're even talking about the actual savings. And then I say, in addition, you will save an extra however much money it is per year. So all of that wrapped up together. And then he simply says, so shall we give it a go? And the we is important because it looks like that you're actually in the process with them. So shall we give it a go? And he thinks that that's something that really, really works for him. So thank you for that, Hans. Sophie.
Hey.
Hi. Another fan of positive language.
Absolutely, yeah. I think one of the things that you've got to kind of always assume they are going to join, just from the outset. The light bulb appointment bit's really important. Never make an appointment later. Always try and get the light bulb appointment booked in, because that's quite an important bit. And I think people I've noticed when I've done support calls and stuff, people have gone, oh, we'll book that later, and it never happens. Really, really important to use that as a. So when's the best time to fit your light bulbs? And get that in and get them to commit, because that's a really good point to lead you on. Because if you have to go back to things, it's just something else that doesn't get done, which is a really, really key important point. Make a massive point of going on about the light bulbs in terms of speaking about yourself as well, and using third party as well. Something that I've done a lot in the past, always use third party or use yourself. I've got 64 light bulbs in my house. I haven't bought a light bulb for 3 years. It's amazing. So little key tips like that of using third party. I signed up my mum and my nan, talking about people in your family that are really close to you. So if I talk about things, I tend to talk about either my mum or my nan or my brother, or because they know that, oh, actually you use the services and you've signed up your mum and you've signed up your nan, so you must really trust this company, because it's not just a job for you, it's something that you actually get your family involved in as well, because people really like that. And also at the end, I think we tend to try and overcomplicate things. Just keep it so simple, and this was something that I just always picked up from Hannah. So you're going to give it a go then, and if they're saving kind of 300, 400, 500, 600 pounds, it's almost like we'd be mad not to. And keep it really light-hearted. So if you're kind of saying to them at the time, well, you would be mad not to, they kind of think, well, I would be mad not to. Why wouldn't I do that? So it's kind of, that's my top tips.
Thank you. I love, actually, I think focusing on getting that light bulb appointment in the diary, that's a very, very positive thing, that they are already starting to think that this is a process that is actually going to happen. So yeah, I think that's brilliant. Simon, hi.
Hello.
So
You've
got a couple of particularly practical tips, and you're very famous for the first one. So go for it.
I don't know why. I don't know where I got it from. So just before that one, it kind of starts when you get to that kind of summary page, is where we always get a little bit stuck sometimes, where all the prices are there. So I'm on that page, and what I would do is I think it's really important on that page not to spend too much time breaking down those individual prices again, because that goes against the simplicity. So I'll literally scroll down and go, well, here's the final page, and I've put on your home phone, I've put on your broadband, which is a great speed with 10% off, mobile, here's your energy. And then you're going to get your bulbs, your cashback card with all that cashback we spoke about, and your gourmet card as well. And I'll scroll back up to the top and say, and you're going to get all of that for this much money once a month. I won't break it down individually. Unless it's a great energy saving, I'll just remind them of that. So that's quite simple. So just that value that's right at the top. So just make it nice and easy, because if someone's going to, as long as you're showing them the screen, they can see themselves. So you don't need to break it down. You don't want one of these people that's going to write all the prices down, because that goes against what we're trying to do. Once you've done that, then it kind of gets a bit awkward. So this is where you might not do this, but what I do is, particularly if there's a couple or someone, people just want a minute or so just between them, just to say, are you on the same wave as me? Do you like this? Do you like him? What do you think? And they want that away from you. So what I do, whether I need it or not, just to relieve some of the tension, some of my bladder tension as well, I say, actually, let me just leave you with that. Let me just leave you with that. Can I just use your loo for a minute? At that moment, so I've scrolled down, said it's going to cost you this much a month with all those benefits. Oh, actually, while you look at that, can I just use your loo? Where is it? And I go, even if I don't need to go. And what that does is it gives me a bit of a time to kind of get my game face back on. And it also just gives the couple or whoever just a little bit of time away from you, away from your gaze, that awkward silence, to just check in with themselves and go, yeah, actually, I like this. Or just check in with the other half and say, right, do you like it? Yeah, I do. Because they're not going to say that in front of, well, they don't necessarily say it in front of you. Then, once I've done what I need to do, and they've done what they need to do, I'll come back in and try to gauge the conversation. You can have a listen if you want to. Come back in and go, right, okay, so do you want to give it a go? And I'll look at that. So that's that. So it just breaks that kind of tension. You can recompose yourself if you feel that awkward tension building up. So at that point, they're either going to say, yeah, great, go ahead. Brilliant, don't delay, get the direct debit filled in. If they don't, if there's a reason or they're hesitating, Steve Critchie thing, which a lot will do now, I'll say something along the lines of, okay, if there's something simple like Danielle said, what is it in particular? Or you could go along the lines of, actually, okay, if I was to say on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being get this strange bearded man out of my house immediately, to 10, sign me up to everything right away as quick as you can, just stop talking, whereabouts are you? And most people are going to say 6 or 7. They might say an 8. You might get some 10s, but they're going to say a 6 or 7 just because they do. And at that point, that's your cue to kind of like Danielle said, really, is to go, okay, brilliant. That's great. So what would it take to get you to a 10? What would it take to get you to a 10? Is there something that would get you to a 10 tonight? And that's when they'll probably tell you their very tiny problem that they've got. And it could be, I think how do I top up the cashback card? Or I don't lose my mobile number or my email address. So when they give you your problem, if you like, then I'll pose it as, okay, that's great. That's not a problem. So if I can show you a way that we can resolve that, you'll be happy to give it a go. And then I'll leave it at that. And then they'll most probably say, well, yeah, I guess so. They might come up with something else. And if they keep coming up with things, then quite clearly that's just their cue to actually, maybe they don't really want to do it right now. Don't go to the toilet again. That makes it weird. But most of the time, if you can just solve that one thing, it's just do it there and then, which is a WhatsApp group or something, solve it, and then go back again. Right, okay, so now you've got that. Would you like to give it a go? And that usually, a mixture of those things, keeping it simple on the summary page, popping off to the loo, flushing the chain and faking it, and then coming back and just doing the 1 to 10 on a scale of 1 to 10, then usually that softens it up. And then if they're still umming and ahhing, they're not going to sign up there and then. So that's it, really. That's all I kind of do.
Amazing, thank you. I can see lots of chains being flushed over the next few days. Brilliant tips.
Sorry, not good for the environment.
Yeah. Thank you, Simon. Okay, so we're not doing too badly. 5 minutes left. I'm just going to wrap this up really with just to talk a little bit about us having a sense of urgency. I think, especially with the personality types that are a bit more yellow, there's a sense of not wanting to push yourselves on people, not wanting them to feel like they're being pressurized into buying something from you, and of course we never ever want to come across like that. But at the same time, I think if you have a sense of urgency in yourself that you want to get this closed and move on to the next customer, I think if that's in your own mind, you will just find yourself just being that little bit more, just looking for that edge every time, rather than the worst thing that you can do is when someone says, I think I need to think about it, or I probably need to run this past my partner, for you just to say, okay, we'll just come back to me when you've had a think. That really is the worst thing that you can do. If you're in a situation where it's just not going to happen today, whatever you've said, you've tried all the tricks, you've been to the loo, it's just not going to happen tonight, then at least give yourself the best possible chance of following up. So how long do you think you need to think about it? As Danielle said before, the chances are they'll probably say a couple of days. So if that was today, I'd say, fantastic. Okay, so by Tuesday, you've probably had a good think and a good chat with your partner about it. Yeah, they'll agree with me. Fantastic. Okay, so when's the best time to get hold of you on Tuesday? Probably the evening. Okay, so what, 7 o'clock okay on Tuesday night? And they'll be sort of thinking, yes, okay, that sounds good. Brilliant. Okay, well, I'll call you at 7 o'clock on Tuesday night and we can discuss moving forward. So then at least you've got an appointment in your diary to call them. And better still, if you can, I've actually had situations where I've said, look, you need a few days to think about it. How about I pop back round Wednesday evening, 7 o'clock, whatever you arrange, I'll pop back round to sign you up then. So it's a positive, that's why I'm coming round. And then they've actually got to ring you to cancel that appointment rather than actually ringing you to make an appointment. There's a lot less chance that they'd ever ring you to make an appointment than it actually going ahead if you make it and put it in the diary. So I think just keeping that sense of urgency and that sense of wanting to move forward without being the pushy salesperson, because none of us want to appear that. There's definitely a fine line. And I think if you can get that balance right, then you will definitely move forward successfully. So just to touch briefly on partners as well, because most of what we've talked about this evening has kind of leaned towards customers. I think there's a couple of really good tricks that we can use with partners. And firstly, the guaranteed joining fee. So what other business is there that you can pay a very, very small fee to join in the first place, but the company's actually going to guarantee it for you? So as long as you do your training, you've got 3 months and you will get that joining fee back if you decide that this business isn't for you. So there's absolutely no risk. So really, if someone's got that 50 quid in their account, or 100 if it has to be, there's really no reason why you can't suggest to somebody that they at least give it a go and they've got that buffer zone. And although I actually very, very rarely talk about this, of course, they do actually have a 14-day cooling off period. So if you ever need to use that to really get somebody to go for it, I quite often say, in those situations, if I did say that, I would say, okay, well, look, how about you do your online training? So you sign up today, do your online training, see how you feel about it. And if it's not for you, within the next 14 days, you can cancel your joining the business, and we will refund your joining fee. So as I say, I wouldn't ever really mention that 14 days unless I really had to. But if I thought that was the difference between getting somebody to go ahead today, I know that if they do that online training, they're going to be amazed by our business and the opportunity. So I'm fairly confident that if they do that, they're going to be staying in. And certainly with my help and the rest of the team's help, we can get them going and get them starting to earn some money early on. And then one more thing, which probably deserves another call in its own right, but certainly if you are recruiting regularly, you may already have started to think about this. When you recruit somebody, you have 7 days in which to place them. So if you're recruiting people regularly and more quickly or more frequently than 7 days, if you recruit somebody and then you recruit somebody else, you can potentially place those people under new people. So when you go and have a new appointment with somebody and they're on the edge, you could actually say to them, if you wanted to, look, sign up tonight or sign up in the next 24 hours and I will place somebody in your team straight away. So if they get team building, that can be a really good incentive to go ahead. So just bear that in mind, that if you are recruiting people relatively quickly, you always have that option, and that can be something that's quite compelling to a new person, and it might just be what they need to push them over to joining. So I think that's it from me, and look at that, 1 minute over half an hour. So we've done very well tonight, guys. Thank you ever so much to the people on the call this evening. You've been brilliant. Last time we had 8 Daffy Golds in the team go ahead on the Monday, and everybody attributed those Daffies to tips that they'd picked up on the call tonight. So I want a record tomorrow, please. Can we go for at least 10? Who's up for being one of those?
Yeah.
Hands up. Cool, brilliant. Okay, well, have a great thank you. Have a great week, guys. Next week, 8:30 is going to be the fast start call for new starters, for anyone who wants to get restarted, and also for people who are recruiting to come on and learn how to teach your new people to get started quickly, because as we know, that's all really, really important to do. So see you all at 8:30 on the call next Sunday, and then following week will be another skills call, and we'll let you know what that is. So have a good week, everyone. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
What was it?